Actually, I have two questions. I'm gonna make the first one real fast. And the second one, well, Steph, you can feel free to answer at length because I'd love to hear. The first thing that I want to...
Oh, you do. You know how to woo a guest. At length. Sorry, go on.
Look, I'm kind of happy that you're here. I'm particularly happy. I'm one of those people that get tagged as Molynoids in the Reddits, and I'm actually quite proud of being able to use your arguments to great effect. And I love it. I really do love it. And for me, it's a great honor to have you here. And the fact that I just put a few hours in to try and improve our setup, and it didn't quite work out, but everything. After all, it ended up working. I am quite stressed out, so I'll just give you a very easy question.
Just before we go into that, can I say something about
sure, absolutely. Go
the
ahead.
Molynoids thing?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I try to be pleasant. I really do. I really try to be pleasant. But every now and then, I feel a little less pleasant. This would be one of those times, because this is something that people have mentioned before. I've seen it on our message board sometimes, heard murmurs of it over the internet, that if you advance an argument or refer someone to a podcast that I've done, that people just say, well, you're not thinking for yourself. You're just following whatever that bald bastard says, and, blah, 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 blah. Well, whatever drippings of cat manure passes for the frontal lobes in these kinds of people, it is unbelievable and ridiculous and embarrassing. And it is a fundamentally propagandistic, wet-brained, micro-dicked tool that people use to avoid having to deal with an actual rational argument. You advance an argument, let's say I've made an argument, and you advance that argument, and people say, oh, well, that just means you just follow this guy or whatever. You can't think for yourself. You just post his article. It's like, how about responding to the argument? How about responding to the argument? There's an idea. If we're going to have a debate about something, we don't all have to reinvent the wheel. If I happen to use cogent and comprehensible English words, do you then say, oh man, you're just a slave to the English language? What, you can't make up your own words? Well, you're just slave to some dictionary? I mean, why did I call you just a dictionary-noid? And it's like, well, because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to start math from the ground up. If someone has a good set of arguments, you can quote those arguments. If someone has a good rebuttal to those arguments, I would love to hear them. You would love to hear them. I would love to resharpen the pencil of my reason and evidence in the grinding gears of the internet brain. Okay, that metaphor got away from me. But it's just such a sad thing. Because, post an argument, someone says, oh, you just don't think for yourself. You just post this. It's like, well, would you like to respond to the argument? And, of course, what you'll find is that they won't, and they can't. And they don't want to admit that they can't. And so there's just these very sad manipulative tricks that people have in their, tiny dick little tool belt, which is, comes from their history, comes from their past. But, a lot of us were trained in government schools to not think. You have to do a little bit of work to join the big people at the big table. This is all just children's table antics. This is what I see. I see this debate in society. There's a table with the adults, and which is very few, and there's a bunch of tables with people halfway between monkeys flinging poo and children putting ice cream up their nose. And most people are just doing these silly little ridiculous rhetorical tactics at the children's table. My suggestion is, you get up and you say, listen, you're at the children's table. You don't know how to think. You don't know how to make a debate. You don't know how to rebut points. You don't know how to argue. You don't know how to reason. So the big philosophy table is where the adults are going to be solving the problems of the world in the future. You need to stay there and try and get someone to help you get the peanut butter out of your ear, because you're not making any sense. Anyway, I just want to sort of mention that.
Yeah.